And welcome back to another episode and a brand new season of Rebuilding Bolton. If you've been enjoying it so far, of course, smash the like button and all that jazz. It really helps out. So, oh my goodness, this was going to be an interesting window, kind of no matter what happened. And I must be honest, it's been a bit of a roller coaster of emotion for me. But, I mean, I'll just tell you now, we've come out on the right side of the roller coaster. We didn't crash, we got safely back, and now we're all going to go have a drink. But first, admin, my favourite part. So firstly, Kang was voted Player of the Year. He basically swept the board as far as awards go, with Young Player of the Year, Players Player of the Year, Team Player of the Year. In fact, the one thing he didn't get was in the Team of the Year. I always find it really weird when a player sweeps the board and gets all of the different awards you can imagine. Player of the Year, all the Players of the Year, and then doesn't get in the Team of the Year. It's like, sorry, is this a solo sport? But nevertheless, that's what happened. Also, with the leaving of Charlie Good, who I actually completely forgot was the club captain, along with, sadly, a Regan Booty. So a moment of silence for Regan Booty finally leaving Bolton after all these years. We love you, Regan. You've done a good job, but it was time to move on. And with that comes a brand new captain, and that man is Alex McCania. So welcome, Captain Alex. Now, obviously, being in the Champions League this year is going to be difficult for us. We did need some reinforcements, but one of the things I talked about in last night's analysis video was that I felt that in a lot of areas we actually did have quite a decent amount of depth, and I wanted to try to be laser focused with our signings this summer. And essentially the plan was wing-back left, maybe as a backup to Farmer. If we can find someone amazing, then great. If not, then so be it. We've got options there, but it'd be nice to have a little bit more depth. I really wanted to focus on trying to find the ideal inverted right wing-back this summer. That was my biggest challenge, and believe me, it has been a challenge, but I think I've got the guy I want, finally. I also want to go after young centre-backs. Relatively straightforward, that one, and we had a few coming in anyway, so that was quite easy. And we also needed another young striker to play backup to Kim, and Ivanov, with the fact that, Ivanov mostly plays off that right-hand side, and when he was forced to play striker for extended periods, I wasn't super happy. Maybe there was just a bit of bad fortune in there, but I felt that we were lacking a lot of depth, because after those two, it really was just Graham Goldston. So I felt like it was important for us to have someone else to sit beneath them and give us a bit of depth there as well, which I feel like we actually have done. But first, I want to treat you to a transfer saga that has had me on tenterhooks for the entire summer, and thank God it's over. And that is the saga of Kim Min. You might notice his contract is a little bit more beefy than it was before, but believe me, it's taken us a long way to get to this. So there I was, minding my own business at the start of the window, when all of a sudden I got a bid from Chelsea of £106 million, and I tell you what, I had just about shat myself. For those in the unaware, he had a release clause of $116 million, and at that point, we were helpless. I tried to offer him a new deal, no dice. The usual kind of, I won't leave the club, or won't offer a new contract out while I'm being offered stuff from other clubs. So obviously I stalled the Chelsea deal, did what I do where I stall and delay and delay and delay as long as I physically goddamn could, basically. So eventually it came time to say no, and then Chelsea came back in with £108 million, and I was like, the problem you've got, basically, this was right towards the start of the window, and statistically speaking, they start low and they get higher, and they were that close to his release clause that I thought there's no way that we're going to be able to hang on to him, quite frankly. So again, I stalled for a week, or as long as it would let me. In the early parts of the window, it usually is quite a long period of time. Then I rejected it again. And then nothing. Not a dicky bird. They didn't come back again. It's like, if they'd have just offered me another £8 million, I would have been powerless to do anything about it. I couldn't have touched it. It would have made no difference whether he wanted to stay at the club or not, because Chelsea come in, trigger the release clause, bam, he'd have been gone. It's just how it works. And somehow, they just didn't come back. So after about 2 weeks of Chelsea not coming back in for him, I went in and I decided, screw it, I'm going to offer him another contract and see what happens. And he actually was willing to talk to us. Now, it still said Chelsea were there and that they wanted him. They just hadn't come in with another bid at that point. Don't know if they were looking at other players. Really just don't know. The point is, though, we were able to negotiate a brand new deal with Kim. It's £105,000 a week, which makes him by far our highest paid player. But if there's anybody in this team that deserves that kind of money, and most importantly, it gets rid of his release clause. He no longer has a release clause. So the only thing really now that can pry him from my hands is quite simply him kicking up a fuss, trying to leave. And what I would say is, he didn't complain when I turned down the Chelsea bids, even though it was his preferred destination. So I guess there's that, but had the release clause been triggered, he'd have been off. So just being able to keep Kimmy is, I think, honestly, could be the biggest transfer of the summer, is just keeping Kim at the club. I think he is almost solely responsible in places for a lot of the success we've had last year. He's been at the Olympics over this period as well. Didn't do very well at the Olympics, did South Korea, but sadly, it doesn't matter, because he's here, he'll be here this year, and oh, God, I'm so glad to have him here. Anyway, that's about players that are staying. Let's talk about the outs. quickly before I do that, actually, there was a striker I had lined up to try to replace Kim, were that to be the case. It was a guy called Di Lorenzo, who's at Brescia. He's now signed for Brighton for £37 million. Expect Brighton to do well this year because the guy is ridiculous. He basically has comparable attributes to Kim, not as good. He just isn't. But the one thing he does have is he's 6'5" and has almost identical physicals to Kim, which is horrendously terrifying. He did lack a bit composure and decisions and stuff like that. So you can understand the price difference, but still, Brighton expect them to be powerful this year with him up front. So as far as outs go, there's actually only been one major out. There's been players going out on loans, obviously free transfers, players being released, but the only player that's left the club this summer is O. And again, we thank him for his service at the team, but I just felt like he was getting less and less game time each season, and as Pombo got better, there'd just be even less room for O, and I wanted to give Pombo the room to become better, so Leipzig put the bid in. I didn't offer him out. First, Bristol City came in for him initially, and I turned that down because I thought it was going to be too early, but then I realised he only had 1 year left on his contract, and the bids were starting to get a bit low. Thankfully, a bit of a bidding war started between all the German clubs. Eventually, he chose Leipzig. The deal eventually will rise to about £17.5 million, which, admittedly, isn't spectacular, but I think, 17.5. But when you look at the fact that we paid £1 million for him when we were in the Championship, we've made £16.5 million on the deal. It was enabling me to fund a couple of other transfers I had in the pipeline anyway, so I was quite pleased with that, quite frankly. And we do still have a decent work of change left, which I'm going to be using for the rest of the, because I do have my eye on an Austrian left back to potentially be the next guy, but I just don't know enough about him yet, but he would potentially be the guy. So, elsewhere, who else has come in? This is Carlos Alejandro Mesa, who's coming from Huesca. You might remember that name. Yeah, it's the guy that turned us down last summer. Now, the only there's a couple of reasons I went in for this guy. Firstly, he was available, and I was like, why is he available if he's only been there a year? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because Huesca, the silly billies, turns out they actually were in La Liga last year. I just didn't realise that because they hadn't been promoted yet when we talked about it last time, or rather, when I actually made my notes about it. So they got relegated, and he had a relegation release clause of £6 million. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to trigger that. Main reason is, yeah, he's a decent centre-back, but he does lack the height and speed to be he's basically like Johnny De Pestra in the physicals. However, as an inverted wing-back, he's not even that bad. He doesn't have amazing natural pace, but his flair isn't too bad. He's got good passing, good vision. His dribbling's solid-ish. I just want to see if I could retrain him to play that. This is not the guy. Don't worry. That's not the guy I talked about. But it's been more of an experiment. When the opportunity came up to pick him up for £6 million, I felt like it was a worthwhile deal in most areas anyway. And in a similar vein, next we have Beñat Iglesias, who's coming from Alaves, who, yeah, again, not spectacular, but again, and this one's even better, he was free. His contract expired with Alaves. I actually signed this guy up a little while ago, and he's finally joined us. But again, £6K a week, free signing, great jumping reach. He's 6'7" and isn't completely treacle slow, despite being 6'7". Next up is a striker. It's Leonardo Hernandez, who's coming from, I do apologise for butchering the name, Xolos Tijuana in Mexico. Now, he's got 26 and 102 for them, but 2 goals in 5 appearances for his country. Now, I said I wanted to find myself a backup striker, and I believe he is the guy. A guy that could come in, do the job. He could technically be out here, but he's left-footed, so I wouldn't really want him to. 14 dribbling, 13 finishing. We'll get him working on that in a minute, potentially. Great first touch as well. Good passing technique. Work rated off the ball are okay. Good composure. Decisions are a bit Anticipation solid. Great acceleration, agility, and balance, though. That sort of stuff actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Chicharito, but at the same time, he's also 6'2", so he does give us a bit more of an aerial presence as a striker, which we really don't have. So it's nice to just have an option like that. And the key thing about this deal for me is it's cost us in total, and that's including all the clauses and that, £5 million. I mean, for £5 million to pick up a guy like Leonardo Hernandez, got a work permit, everything's good. I think it was a bit of a no-brainer. He isn't going to start for us, but he's totally happy with being a squad player, so I think he's a really good addition to the team just to give us a bit more depth. Next up is René Soussan, who is a French right-winger from Châteauroux. Châteauroux? That's a really hard one to say. Châteauroux, I'm guessing. I don't know. Basically, they're in a bit of trouble financially, it would seem, because a lot of their players all of a sudden started popping up on my radar. There was a striker I was looking at as well, who I didn't go with in the end, because we found Hernandez. So yeah, we brought him in. Now, the deal in total could cost up to 15 million, which is quite a lot, I agree. But 18 years old, bare bones, it's just great for what I'm looking for really here. Crossing, dribbling, great. First touch, solid. Passing, decent. Technique, solid. Work rate, and off the ball, aren't spectacular. Will come with time. They're mentals. He's only 18. Great physicality as far as acceleration, agility, good balance as well. Great pace. Stamina's not spectacular, but I like the guy. Now, unfortunately, because he came from a French second-tier side, he doesn't have a work permit. It's fine. We've now loaned him to Saint-Etienne in the top flight of France, where because he'll play or he should do. He's an important player. I made sure of it. He should play for them, which means that we should be able to get a work permit midway through the season. Anyway, same kind of shtick. And now, our inverted wingback. You're going to recognise this name. Well, yes, it's Nicky Murray, coming from Newcastle United. This is such a weird situation. So basically, West Ham had him on loan last year. He's always been the guy that whenever I've done these searches, and I've done all sorts of searches trying to find the perfect-ish inverted wingback for us. And it's a difficult set of attributes to find, because most of the time you're looking at DLPs that transfer. But some of them are missing other attributes that perhaps they wouldn't be needed so much, like things like acceleration. A lot of DLPs don't tend to possess as much of that because they don't need it as much. Although I do think it's quite important, but still not as important. I thought to myself, okay, maybe we could try and loan him from Newcastle once his deal finishes with West Ham. So we went in, the moment it expired, tried to get him. Newcastle said no. I tried about 2 weeks of negotiating, just upping and upping and upping. Eventually I was going to offer them like £1 million a month to bring this guy in on loan, and they were still saying no. So at that point, I was like, all right, whatever. Because I'd already bid, or put like a temporary transfer bid in right at the start of, like, not even before the window had even opened. And they wanted like 120 million. So I'm just like, okay, it's going to be like Manny Farmer, is it? But then once we actually got fully into the transfer window, I was like, you know what, screw it. There's no point in us paying that kind of money if they're not going to accept it anyway. Let's see what they want up front as a transfer fee. And all of a sudden, they dropped their asking price dramatically. For whatever reason. Don't know how, don't know why, but they did. And eventually, we're paying a bit more in the back end that could rise this deal up to like 30 million, but I still don't think it's that bad of a deal, to be honest. Certainly better than Manny Farmer, to be honest. But we're actually only paying 16.5 million up front for Nicky Murray, and the rest is over 7 years. And I do feel sorry for Newcastle here, because when the notification came through that the deal was done, I noticed that because of the structuring of the deal, they are having to pay Exeter City £13 million as part of him moving to us, and they're only getting £16 million of it up front anyway. So it's not really worked out that well for Newcastle. So there we go. That's literally it. All we've done so far. It's still quite a decent outlay of money, of course, but it's not like an overhaul. Not that I felt like we needed one. Do expect to see potentially at least one more signing, though, probably in the next video. So today, we start off against Everton. Oh dear, they're going to have nightmares about us. Obviously, massive changes will need to be made. Evanov's picked up an injury, which is not great. I mean, this is not happening at all. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of reshuffles as he slowly gets more interested in there. So Kang will obviously play in that role. Farmer will be in for now. Mesa, surely not. Surely Mohamed, right? Yeah. I don't think Mesa's ready enough to start in the middle just yet. Stars will definitely not play there. I'm honestly tempted to start Colombo in the middle at the moment and just bring in Ilic like that. So it's just kind of mostly the same lineup. The only real addition to the actual first team squad you'll see right now is Murray. So Christensen obviously in there. So the bench, right? Pombo, obviously, you know, we like a bit of Pombo. Mesa's there. Candela can now come off the bench as well. Hernandez is in there too. Conrad, I'm going to start giving a bit more game time. And Gar says if he's around, but I think he's still, no, he is still about. Need to get him some football to get him up to speed though. But I'm just excited to see what Murray can accomplish in this team. Now, it might still only be 2.5 stars, but it's just so difficult to get anyone to be good in that role. And I do think he ticks most of the boxes. So, we're away at Everton. We took an incredibly cheeky draw against them last season here. And then I don't know how we beat them at home. That Candela goal was just life-changing for me. I'm excited to see what the lad's going to accomplish, whether he can at least hang in there a bit more against Everton this season. Everton are controlling possession from the off, as per usual. That wasn't really a huge shock to us at this point, is it? Farmer's pushed a long way up here, and Werner's dropped a little deep. If we could win it off them here, oh, there's a good ball in behind potentially for Everton here. Yes, that was what I was worried about. Noble, need a good bit of defender to try and clear this, and Colombo, that is a dreadful, oh my giddy aunt. Colombo with a big clearance there, and Kang, he could have brought that down. I wouldn't begrudge Everton winning this game, quite frankly, even if they absolutely mugged us off somehow. Well, I mean, look at that. Straight off the bat, Mason Holgate slots Everton 1-0 up inside 10 minutes here. The amount of times last season that we completely robbed Everton of points, but it would still be nice to look good, but it just feels like Everton have got our goat. They know something about us, and they're able to play through us every single time, just by keeping so much of possession here. Still a bit of a poor one, but it is what it is. It's just gone straight past. And straight past again, and it's a good save from Macania, and cleared away very poorly again. I'm going to do what we did last time against Everton, knowing full well that we're just not going to be able to get a stranglehold on possession. It's just to play into the whole pass into space situation, try to find balls over the top for Kim, who has just taken a twisted knee 16 minutes into the first game of the season with Veselin out injured. This is why I'm so glad I signed Hernandez now. Comes in as the third choice striker, probably wasn't What? Did he just literally go through Ilic's body to win that? When Ilic has complete control of... That's frustrating. Oh well. Right. Christensen now. And just loses the ball. Right. Finally, a bit of possession. Ilic with room. Back for Murray. Back for Ilic. He's finally got a bit of space to work with. Christensen's ball over the top for Kang. Oh, and he's actually got him behind and had a shot. I'll take it. A little bit of space for Illich now. Colombo. Christensen. This is a nice build-up. He's going to shoot, isn't he? Yes. Okay. There was probably better options on there, Johan. Well, it's half-time, and we haven't perhaps been as ludicrously bad as I thought we were going to be, given the start of the game. They had a little chance towards the end there, which we didn't see, but they still deserve to be in front. Everton just seem to have our number. But you also know what we're capable of against Everton, of pulling out outrageously unfair results against them. And we've done it time and time again. So maybe there's one more in the tank for us. You just never know. It just feels like games against Everton are bound to be these sort of matches at the moment. They just have something on us that we cannot seem to handle. Oh, Kang's intercepted, though. Can he find the right pass? He's got to find Hernandez here. It's going to be difficult for him. He's... Almighty. Nobody can pass correctly. Kang's throw. Oh, and he's bloody scored. I cannot believe this happens every time. Everton 1, Bolton 1, Kang Dong-hee, who else, would pull out an absolute miracle goal. I just don't know what this was. But then brilliant work here from Illich to just look up, go bang, have a bang on that, and Kang is always likely to score these situations when he gets in there. And there it is. It's Everton 1, Bolton 1. Amazing. We're like a barnacle in games against Everton. They legitimately cannot seem to get rid of us. Please don't foul him. There's enough of you there. That's fine. Not dangerous at all. Murray's awaiting on the edge of the box, and oh! Kang had made that run again. Swayens. There's a guy on the edge. I'm concerned they're going to go for the long shot, but McCanny's there. I mean, it actually, at the moment, albeit 10 to hooks here, is looking like potentially it could somehow be a 1-1 here. I mean, it's actually going to be 1-1. We're going to do it again. It's going to be Everton 1, Bolton 1. Kang's got past his man here. He's not going to be able to find a pass, is he? No, but it is going to be a corner in the 94th minute. Imagine if we scored this. It would be the ultimate continuation of our results against Everton. We've not actually been that bad in terms of chance creation today. We've just looked so weird with some of our decision-making at places. Kang's ball. And Wilson's header is actually on target there. And yeah, it's going to be Everton 1, Bolton 1. Not our best performance by any means. I still don't think we were that bad. As you can see, towards the end here, Everton were just having pot shot after pot shot of low quality chances. And I think they kind of, maybe they shouldn't have done that. Either way, we've somehow gone to Everton yet again and taken points off of them. This is a good sign. Winning games when or getting points in games when you're playing badly, it's a good sign, frankly. I'd still rather play well, but I'll take it. Kim's only going to be out for 3 to 4 days. That is terrific news, particularly as we have Man United at home next. Nice and easy. Next episode is going to be our first ever game in the Champions League. I don't know who it's going to be against, but that's what we're going to be That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to do a lot of games off camera and then come back with our first ever game in the Champions League. It's going to be awesome, unless it's like really, really far away. But I don't think it is. So I'll see you guys soon. Or is it? I'll have to make a decision at the time. So if you've enjoyed this episode, in spite of getting a draw, only a draw. I suppose Everton are a good side, though. Then drop a like on the video. That's awesome. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I stream on Twitch Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 11 a.m. Go follow there too, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, to have a new signing to show you as well. And yeah, we'll find out who we're going to be playing in the Champions League. Never been in it before with Bolton. It's going to be sick. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.